When planning our music video, we were very aware that the codes and conventions are a firm set of rules that we had to follow and challenge appropriately. This meant first analysing our chosen song and deciding how best to portray it. We wanted to show the lost love and the heartbreak involved in this. We understood that to do so, we had to tell a story. By building up the characters' relationship and love together, it's made more gripping and emotional for the viewer when towards the end we reveal the reason behind the man no longer being in her life. This was the meaning behind the video, and we portrayed this through three main characters in past and present time. The reason for us choosing three main characters is because it is easier for our audience to understand the storyline and emotions of the characters when there is only a small amount to focus on, so it does not get confusing or overpowering. We chose a member of our group to portray the protagonist, as this meant we would not have to rely on someone else for the majority of our filming. We used Kirsty's nan to portray the older protagonist because they look alike and she was prepared to play the role and give us an appropriate location to film the scene. We began the story with the older protagonist looking back through a book of photographs. We then show the story behind these photographs to display the lost love. This tells the protagonist's story. The reason behind us incorporating performance into our production was because we wanted to follow this code and convention, and with the main protagonist singing, it shows she is telling her story through lyrics. Being able to break up the narrative is important in keeping our audience engaged in the video. We used a wide variety of locations. We knew that by doing this it would make it more entertaining for the viewer and something they wanted to continue watching. Our locations were as follows: German Market, Snowdome, Birmingham City Library and a house. By choosing a variety of locations, it made the memories seem more realistic and something our audience would believe in. After watching Rudimental Waiting All Night, we realised locations keep you interested in the story and waiting for the next part. We wanted this effect on our audience. When planning our locations, we wanted locations that would portray excitement and vivid lighting, meaning a majority of our filming would need to take place overnight. We didn't want our performance scenes to look boring, and therefore the location for this needed to be picturesque. After looking for inspiration, we found Katy Perry Firework. In this video there is a city landscape scene. We also got inspiration from local upcoming band called Atlantis with their music video, as they used a lot of vivid lighting. We were aware that the new city library had just been built and it had a rooftop that gave us access to a city landscape, therefore we decided to take advantage of this and use it as our location. This worked effectively as it made our protagonist look dominant and thoughtful. The German market is close to us and a very famous event, therefore filming a majority of our memories there was a good place to show meaningful time. We decided to film a majority of our scenes at night because the bright lights available at our chosen locations provided colour and a better outlook on our locations. This however meant that the lighting could often become an issue as the camera found it difficult to pick up the subject in dark conditions. To improve the lighting conditions, we often stood in front of bright artificial lighting to highlight the main character's face, and this did often work in places that provided us with lights such as the German market. If we were to refilm some scenes, we would have provided our own light sources, meaning good lighting conditions that our camera would pick up. The performance scenes seemed to be dark and grainy, and this became a huge problem. However, because we wanted the city lights in the background to be the main focus, this meant the performer's face could not be lit as well as we would have wanted. Props were important in our production. The most important prop was the album of photographs, as it was the tool to providing us with the memories. The memories are what made our story authentic, and the album provided us with the ability to change time. We made the album and at first printed out images, however the camera could not pick up the images, so in the editing process we made our footage look as though it was a still photograph in the album and played it as an image in the album, which we found worked more effectively. Another prop that we used was a mobile phone. This was the prop that symbolised the end in their relationship. We purposely did not show the screen as the audience are left to assume what the text says and who it's from. When planning costumes, we decided it was best to show the characters in casual clothing to portray their memories better. When they created these memories, they would have been just teenagers in casual clothes, and we wanted to make this obvious. For the performance scene, Kirsty is dressed in casual clothing, however we did not plan this. As it is a different scene, we wanted to ensure the audience saw this was obvious. However, because of the cold and windy conditions on top of Birmingham Library at the time we were filming, she had to wear warmer clothing. The technical aspects of our production all follow the codes and conventions of a music video appropriately. Camera angles was something we wanted to follow rather than challenge, as this might have run the risk of not achieving the style of a music video. For our performance scene, we repeated the scene 3 times and shot it from 3 different angles to give the effect of multiple cameras. We only used 2 of these shots in the main production. Our reason for doing this is because our 3rd shot showed too much background noise and gave the wrong effect, taking the audience focus off the performer. In some of our narrative scenes, we used handheld shots to give the effect of memories and archived footage. We got this idea from Carly Rae Jepsen's Tonight music video. In this, she has many handheld shots as well as city landscape scenes to portray the love and story better. This is the effect we wanted to give. Some of the shots we used were wide shots to show the locations and surroundings, over-the-shoulder shots supported by a shot reverse shot, and extreme close-ups to provide facial expressions, reactions and refined detail. We also used a variety of angles, such as high-angle shots to make the character less dominant, low-angle shots to make the character more dominant, and tracking to show characters' movement. Editing was sometimes a big task with many obstacles. We had to make sure we edited our production to show codes and conventions, as well as portraying the story correctly. We used a variety of cuts and cross-cutting when the song got faster, because we were cutting on the beat. As the beat got faster, so did our cuts. We used fades to show a change in time. This was important in our production, as it focused around the changes in time, therefore we had to show this. Fades were mainly used when looking through memories in the photo album. Another editing technique that we used was overlay. By overlaying 2 scenes on top of one another, we gave the effect the performer was looking at her memories, something the audience could visualise. When putting the memory scenes on top of the album cover, we had to move the anchor points to look as though it was playing in the book to give the effect of the older protagonist, imagining when she sees the photograph. This makes the audience feel more a part of the story and characters' lives. We got the idea for this from One Direction's well-known music video Story of My Life. In this, the photographs appear to come alive.
When creating our print artefacts, we had to consider the themes and genre of our main production in order for them to tie in well together. We used screen grabs from the music video on both the album cover and the advertising poster and overlaid them to create a subtle collage of the video overall to intrigue the target demographic and also give them a sense of what the video will be about before they've even watched it. We used the images from the most effective parts of the video to portray the tone and mood of the song which we chose, which attracts the attention of our audience and allows them to feel a connection with the characters from the video. We stuck to a certain colour scheme during the production of our album cover, and therefore this helps to show the common theme of romance, which is noticed throughout several songs on the Teenage Dream album, including Teenage Dream, E.T. and The One That Got Away, but also represents the fun elements from the songs Last Friday Night, California Girls and Firework. When we decided the colour scheme for the print artefacts, we chose to stick to a colour which would bring out the emotion of our chosen song, but also had to consider the themes from the rest of the album. Being a pop song meant that the production and print artefacts had to be bright and colourful in order to portray the lyrical meaning, but also to illustrate the story of the narrative, and therefore we eventually decided on a magenta-like colour scheme using reds, violets, pinks and purples. These worked well with the theme of romance as they connote power and passion as well as strong emotion. The brightness of the highlighted text juxtaposes this colour scheme as it adds fun and creativity which was taken from the rest of the album. When creating our products, we looked at the original album cover for inspiration and noticed how the bright colours suited the style of the pop genre and also the songs within the album. However, instead of going for a similar look to the original cover using lighter colours, we decided to add some darkness by using silhouettes on the front cover to suggest how lovers died throughout many of the songs while still keeping its fun yet emotional value. All of the images on the print artefacts were edited in Adobe Photoshop to help to create a more emotional and inspiring story behind the music video itself, and many of them have been made to look as though they were not in the video at all, where in actual fact they all except 2 have featured in the main production at some point. The pictures that were used on the inside of the album cover were taken by ourselves when we were filming around Birmingham. The big wheel is noticed in the video in the background of one of the memory scenes and was taken at the German market. The brightness and vibrancy of the image was adjusted to make it look like a completely different place to the one in the video, whereas it is the exact same image, just taken with a different camera, with more advanced settings to capture the movement within the image. This effect was also used to take the photograph of the carousel, which does not feature in the main production, however, allows the audience to build up a sense of what the other videos would be like if they were to be created. When creating our advertising poster, we used a screen grab from the middle section of the music video, which was filmed near an outdoor ice rink. We use this image as it shows the connection between the characters from the narrative and represents a loving, emotional story as the audience cannot see their faces. This is because we didn't want to give too much away and didn't want the audience to guess that the video would be a perfect love story. Not being able to see their faces leaves the audience thinking about the emotions that the characters are actually feeling and suggests that there may be a problem within the relationship, this being the argument scene. Overall, our ancillary texts tie in well with the main production as it thoroughly represents the running themes throughout the album.
We were mostly pleased with our audience feedback. For question 1, asking about the success of our music video, we received a response of 50% excellent and 50% good. We were happy with this as it showed our reviewers thought we had followed the codes and conventions in our production. Codes and conventions played a key role in the making of our production. We made sure to follow them in order to give the optimal effect of a real music video, so we were happy that our audience could clearly see we had followed these. For question 2, 8 people marked as a 2 for our blog evidence and 4 people marked as a 1. Again, we were pleased with this result. Evidence in our planning and research on the blog was crucial in showing how we created our final product. Although we were pleased with this result, it also made us realise that there were more we could have evidenced on the blog, such as images or outtakes of our filming, more analysis and more research into the codes and conventions. If we had done this, we feel we would have gained more ones for this question. Question 3 gave us a varied response. The majority answered some imagination. There were also marks for little and high imagination. After considering why we might have got this result, we found our video had some similar aspects to the original, therefore lacking some imagination we could have shown. If we were to redo the production, we would think more about how the storyline could be different and annotate the lyrics fully to really get an understanding of how the artist feels to portray in the way that we imagine it. I think if we had not viewed the original music video beforehand, our ideas would have been slightly different. For question 4, we mainly had a positive response with an overall result of 16 1s received, 34 2s, 9 3s and 1 4. For question 8 on shot composition, we mainly received 2s. Shot composition is something we tried hard to focus on when filming, however due to our choice of location, some of the shot compositions we had originally chose had to be changed. We did however end up with a very range of shots showing everything we wanted in a scene from different angles. Question B again gave us a result of mainly 2s. This question regarded mise-en-scène, an element we worked very hard on planning and carrying out. Mise-en-scène was crucial in our production due to locations, props and lighting conditions. Scouting locations was at first difficult, but we found the locations appropriate for the story we wanted to portray. Props such as the album, one of the main focuses of the video, were important and key to our production, therefore had to be handmade instead of shot bought. As we were filming at night, it became very difficult for the camera to pick up the subjects in the dark, therefore this resulted in a lot of refilming, especially for our performance scenes. If we were to improve anything regarding our mise-en-scène, this would be to pay better attention to costumes, as this was an aspect we felt we lacked in. For question D, we mainly got the result of 1s. For a music video, sound obviously plays a key role, however it does not need to change throughout, therefore a simple element to maintain. We could have chosen to add diegetic sound to portray the story better over non-diegetic sound in some parts of the music video, as you can see in others. However, this would not have been necessary as the storyline could be portrayed without this. Question E gave a low response of mainly 2s, but 3s also. The response for this is because our text was originally only included in the last scene, and in a different place on the page, as we did not realise that it had to be in the style of a music channel. Therefore, having to put the writing on the beginning and end scene whilst also changing the place on the screen meant the font looked out of place and the font style did not fit with the style of the scene. If we were to improve upon this, we would take into consideration what music channel our video would be aired on and then recreate the style of the font used by this channel. Question 5 was regarding improvements. The 3 main improvements we received were lighting, lip syncing and text. The comments about lighting were mainly regarding the dark conditions. The way our audience viewed it was on the projection screen, and this caused our production to seem darker because we filmed at night, and this caused some scenes to look grainy and admittedly too dark. If we were to improve this, we would film more scenes in the day or bring a stronger light source in. The lip syncing could sometimes be a problem. We decided to change our song due to not being able to come up with a logical idea for the storyline. Therefore, Kirsty found it difficult learning the lyrics to a new song, causing some of her lip syncing to look not in sync. However, this was not a major problem, as in a majority of the scenes our lip syncing matched perfectly. For question 6 regarding our print artefacts, all of the comments seemed positive. I worked hard on portraying the story through colour, photographs and text on the print artefacts. Our audience mentioned the colours seem to link to love and loss, which is one of the main elements I am to portray, so I'm happy with this. One of the other comments we received was that it shows the storyline and follows codes and conventions well. Again, we were happy with both of these comments, as this again is something we found important in following. As we did not have any bad feedback for this question, we are happy with the print artefacts and the way our audience understood the message we tried to get across.
When producing our music video, we use media technologies throughout the whole process, from the planning stage right up until the evaluation. When planning our music video, we use several websites, television channels and magazines to find out more about the music videos and the print artefacts to go with them. We research things like album covers and what they represent, whilst also analysing professional media products including game adverts, short films, documentaries and of course music videos. This helped us improve our creativity as we were broadening our knowledge on codes and conventions of the products which we were to create. Whilst looking at other work from different genres and artists, we decided to experiment with our ideas using programs such as Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Premiere Pro on an Apple Mac.
We learnt new techniques to add to the ones that we learnt from last year to eventually create a product which looked professional. During the filming process, we used 2 different cameras, a Sony HD camera with a 32GB SD card and a Hitachi video camera with an AVI movie format. However, we faced a few problems when uploading the footage from the Hitachi camera, as the file format was different and therefore affected the way the raw footage was imported. At first, the clips were slightly distorted and jumpy. However, this was soon resolved when we began to render the project after every edit. Using Premiere Pro meant that we were able to edit clips easily and alter anything that we didn't want to see in our end product. We used several techniques and used the brightness and contrast tool often to balance out the footage and create a decent music video which met the stereotypical codes and conventions. When producing our print artefacts, we used images that were taken with a Canon 1100D to construct the best possible representation of the things we wanted to see throughout the video. We used Adobe Photoshop to adjust the photographs and create a collage of the main production on the album cover. When doing this, we overlaid some of the images by adjusting the opacity and brightness of each one and then resized and feathered the edges to blend them into each other. Once this was done, we put the images on a template of a typical trifold album cover and uploaded it to blogger.com, where we created a blog where we wrote about everything we have done since the beginning of the year and analysed several different types of media.